And from the Rockville campus of Montgomery College, Montgomery College Television is proud to present NJCAA Men's College Soccer with the Montgomery College Raptors welcoming in one of their longtime rivals, the CCBC Essex Knights. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Brown alongside my partner, Caleb Scarborough. And Caleb, we got a heck of a match on our hands tonight.
Man, talk about two teams, both in double digits victories this season, both with 10 wins. You've got teams that are just geared up and ready to compete against each other, teams that know how to score, and teams that are familiar with each other as well. We already saw the girls match up, and we were pumped for it, and I cannot express to you how pumped I am for this game here now.
Well, these two teams, first of all, to kind of set the table for you, if the Raptors should win tonight, they will win the Maryland JUCO Championship. The Raptors come into this one 8-0 in conference play, 10-1-2 overall, whereas Essex comes in also undefeated in league play, but they have one tie. So if the Raptors win, based on the fact that there are very few Maryland JUCO games left on their schedule, they would claim the championship tonight of Maryland JUCO. And you can see both teams are out there on the field, and they are out there with a youth soccer team from the Sharks United Soccer Academy. It's a youth soccer program started by Rafael Hernandez. They've been in existence since 2021, and they're going to participate in the player introductions, as you can see. They'll also serve on the touch line for ball retrieval, and they're also going to give us a little halftime scrimmage. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll have much more about that league and their program, and we also hope to be visited by the gentleman who founded the program, Rafael Hernandez, at halftime. But let's get back to the business at hand here with both these teams coming in here, and to add a little more spice to the mix, both of these teams have played each other for league championships. This will be the third straight season now that they have gone against each other for the league championship. MC won it last year. Essex won it the year before. So I think it just adds a little more spice to what's going to really be a great matchup. So let's go. Let's run down the starters for both teams. We'll start with Essex. In goal tonight is number 44, Colton Drought. He'll start in goal. The rest of their starters are number 2, Jose Hoya. He's their captain. Number 3, Jonathan Esgari. Number 6, Tashi Nogami. Number 10, Alexis Maldonado. Number 11, Angel Vargas Hernandez. Number 17, Tom Schroeder. Number 19, Bartu Yakan, their leading scorer. Number 20, Aiden Hadassi, their second leading scorer. And also number 28, Leon Blank will be in the starting lineup. And number 33, Yutari Akawa, will be in the starting lineup tonight. Their head coach, he's been there a long time. That's Joe Fielder. And he's been there since 2012. So he's had a lot of experience at the helm for Essex. Starters for the Raptors in goal is number 00, Gehem Marinaho. Number 2, Nathan Booth. Number 3, Yoski Ono. Number 4, Tice Veldhorst. Number 5, Nicholas Morello. Number 6, Sahul Silva. Number 11, Fabio Poza Adnero. Number 10, Caio Dias Braga. Number 20, Miguel Granada Penalva. And number 21, Angel Geron Ramos. And number 23, Kenji Ventil Dorelas. So those are the starters for the Raptors tonight. Head coach for the Raptors is Pedro Bras. Pedro has, this is his second stint at Montgomery College. His assistants are Kareem Mumban, the goalkeeper coach, Scott Payne, and Isaac Mensah Yabo. The assistants for Essex are Zach Menmo, Buck Stork, and Kobe Chrome. So there's a good look at Pedro Braz, a long time alongside his assistant there, Scott Payne. There's Kareem, the goalkeeper coach. So this is a big match for both these teams. We're in the middle of October now, and these matches are so important. They're important for postseason seeding, pride, and here comes the Raptors on the attack. Good looking ball there by Silva.
This is going to be a hotly contested matchup throughout this. I mean, we've seen it right here at the get-go. Going to be a lot of pace, a lot of energy, a lot of physicality as well.
Yeah, these teams, they have come out on fired up.
Yeah, we're going to have a free kick here, almost going to be taken somewhat like a corner here by the Raptors. A great chance here. We saw some early goals in that first game already, Michael. I was glad you made it through the rosters this time without seeing any goals scored by the opposing team. I don't mind if we would have scored during the rosters.
If we had, and checking in already, or no, I'm sorry, Ramos is going to take the kick instead of Ono. He's got the left foot going. Puts it up. Ooh, not quite. But yeah, in case you joined us late in the women's game, Essex came out of the box and scored two goals in the first 68 seconds and kind of took the wind out of the sails of the Raptors and just dominated the match, winning it 3-0. So we're in the second game of tonight. And we're off to a great start. Here's a whistle.
Yeah, going to be a quick handball here on the Raptors. Raptors coming out in a 1-4-1-4 formation here. Really interested to see the type of pressure. Coach Braz likes to play this high pressure, as we're seeing right here. Raptors are pressing high.
We expect this match to be physical and intense, but hopefully injury-free. There's a shot way high. And that was number 10, Caio Dias Braga for the Raptors. He's one of those that's had a number change. He started the year at number 18, switched to number 10. So far, the Raptors are the ones that have put on the offensive pressure, but obviously we're very early. Here's a little bit of an opportunity. It's knocked out by Adnero.
Well, if you're Essex, you do want to test this keeper early, and the reason we say that is this is not the Raptors' normal starting keeper, a keeper that was incredible during the month of September, actually was player of the month for the Region 20 in September.
No,
only gave up 5 goals in almost 700 minutes of soccer.
Well, he's got a leg on him. Yeah, he's a relatively new addition to the Raptors roster as well. He was not on the roster when I called the game 2 or 3 weeks ago. Essex. They've got some goal scorers on that team. Ooh, wow.
What an idea there. Not able to connect. A beautiful ball played in there by number 1, Vargas Hernandez.
Thijs Veldhorst with the acrobatic defensive maneuver there. Good look at number 21 for the Raptors, Angel Ramos. Get it out of there. Very aggressive. That goes out of bounds. It'll be Essex throw in. It's number 3 is Aguirre.
Good 1-2 connection there. Near side, Vargas Hernandez. He has 11 assists on the season. He knows how to find the right night at the right time.
Boy, that's for sure. And they've got some scorers on here. Number 19, Batu Yakin leads them with 16 goals, 3 game winners. Number 20, Aiden Hadassah with 11 goals and 3 game winners.
Yeah, and Yakin was another one of the players of the month in September. Scored 14 goals in just 11 games in September.
Wow.
So he was on an absolute tear during those 11 matchups. During that time, too, this night team went 8-3.
And, yeah, Yakin is from the Netherlands. Both these teams are very well represented from around the globe. Here's an opportunity for Nathan Booth. Ooh. No call. Be Raptors ball. Is Aguirre wanted a foul on the Raptors, no call. This is the kind of aggressiveness you were talking about, Caleb.
Great defense there by number 4 of your Raptors, Veldhorst, stepping up and stopping that because that through ball was perfectly teed up, and he was able to time his step to be able to break that one up. And honestly, Veldhorst is such a critical part of this Raptors team. He does such a fantastic job of stepping at the right moments, of filling those gaps. As here's a chance for the Raptors, not able to cut that one back over.
No,
to
nice
Booth.
defensive play to break that one up.
But this is a Raptors team that doesn't give up many goals. I mean, this is a Raptors team whose defense is just as solid as they come. And then on the flip side, you've got this Essex team that also doesn't give up a lot of goals. So this is really just a perfect October matchup between these two teams.
Now, goals against average for both teams. For the Raptors, .58. For Essex, 1.07. Hard to do much better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, this is just, you couldn't ask for a better matchup in October with both these teams have really figured out their identity. They're playing good soccer. You know, it is just a perfect matchup we have, and great weather for it, too.
Meanwhile, they both know how to score. Essex with 72 goals, 5.14 per match. Raptors with 60 goals, 4.62 per match.
So something's got to give in this one, Michael. So we're either going to see some goals or we're not going to see much, right? one of the two. Something's going to have to give.
And both teams with pretty decent shot percentages. So I don't expect a high-scoring match, however, despite the prolific scores on both sides. Raptors hold their own in that department. Ishmael Demi, number 7, who is not yet in, has 11 goals on the season for the Raptors. And TK Beloy, who is not yet in, has 8 goals on the season for the Raptors. The Raptors have spread the goals around quite a bit.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of a different lineup here for the Raptors. You know, the starting keeper out for the Raptors, and then you've got a couple of these big-time scorers that you mentioned that aren't starting here tonight. And so really kind of an interesting lineup that's out here for this Raptors team. But overall, to start this one, the first almost 10 minutes, the Raptors have done a great job of putting pressure on Essex, getting some opportunities. Haven't really tested the keeper yet, but they are applying a lot of pressure to that back line.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They've been very aggressive offensively. They have carried the match so far offensively. Of course, neither team has scored. But the Raptors keep this pressure up. You got to feel it's almost inevitable. They're going to find the back of the net. There's a good look at the Essex head coach over there, Joe Fiedler. Joe is in his 12th year at Essex. This is Pedro Bra's second stint with the Raptors. He started here back in the early teens, 2012, I believe, and was here for 4 years, took the Raptors to nationals every year, then moved on to Gallaudet, where he had a very successful 5-year run, and then the Raptors lured him back, which was great news for everybody. He's the assistant athletic director as well as the head. Ooh, there's quite a collision.
A lot of contact there. Veldhorst really kind of got that one started a little bit. Nothing malicious about what Veldhorst was doing, but it did throw the balance off of the Essex player, who then kind of collided into the Raptor. Like I said, Veldhorst is a player to keep an eye on throughout this game. I think that he just plays that center back role so well and really anchors this team.
Yeah, he's another player from the Netherlands. Went to Kadinsky College High School. Kadinsky, if you're familiar with Amsterdam, is one of the major canals that runs through the city. Beautiful, beautiful city. Maybe the most beautiful in the world. Certainly one of. Raptors on the move again.
Yeah, good ball there by Silva up here to Booth.
He tries to run it down, saves it, keeps it in bounds. Check the ball, patience. Veldhorst. The pace has been furious. Both teams really putting out the effort. Both teams with deep benches. There's another Raptor down.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, just a lot of physicality. Nothing that seemed nothing too egregious, honestly. It's just looked like a competitive, kind of getting the juices flowing type of deal. But this will be the second Raptor that's gone down here early. This one, another collision with the big forward there for Essex, number 20, Hidassi. He's had a couple of run-ins with a couple of players. That's it's not a small young man out there. That's a rather large guy. And some of these Raptors guys, I'm looking at number 10 Braga and stuff. They aren't the largest, and so people underestimate the physicality of the game of soccer, Michael. Too often people just don't understand the physicality that really flows. I mean, especially in the men's game, especially when you get into the college level. I mean, you were just talking about such a frenetic pace, and I think at the college level you do play with a little bit more physicality than in a lot of other leagues and stuff. And so you really have to adjust relatively quickly on how to handle that type of pressure.
Injured Raptor was Kenji Dorelis. Looks like he was holding his neck. Hopefully he's all right, and it'd be great to see him come back in if he's okay. Have to set this one up.
It's a great touch by Booth. That's a hard one to control.
Penalva, keeper for. That's a good look at Colton Drought, the keeper, sophomore out of Towson. Been pretty much all Raptors on the offensive end so far.
Yeah, haven't seen Essex really possess the ball much at all, and part of that is the Raptors play such a frenetic pressure when they turn the ball over, that if you're not adept at spreading out quickly once you win the ball and switching the field to be able to push forward, this Raptors team will turn you over quickly.
There's the throw in. There's a trip. And they do call a foul. Foul on Hernandez for Essex. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, we're going to have a special halftime scrimmage featuring the Sharks United Soccer Academy youth team. And we're looking forward to that. That'll be at halftime. And then we're hoping to speak with their coach, Rafael Hernandez, who started the league back in 2021. Good look at Nathan Booth for the Raptors. Nathan has 1 goal and 3 assists on the season, and we've got a corner situation. Yosuke Ono with the corner. Try something a little different here. Ooh. That ball was right on.
Yeah, it was a good idea with that short corner. I'm not the biggest proponent of short corners, Michael, to be honest with you. But that one there, what I liked about that short corner is Ono played that one in quickly. And what I mean by that is it didn't take a lot of time to develop. He played it in, one touch back to Ono. He hits a ball back into the box. And so Ono was able to get a good spin on that one. Keeper really just doing the smart thing, punching that one out, and we'll have Ono here on the near side taking another corner.
So another corner. Let's see what they come up with this time. There it is. Oh my goodness. Save there on the line by the Essex defense.
That was Veldhorst that got a foot on it, was almost able to put that one in the back of the net, but great reactionary defense there by Essex, able to keep that one out of the back of the net.
That was almost a goal. Here's a good look at it. And Veldhorst got a leg on it, but a great save there. Haven't caught the number yet, but That was a great save.
Yeah, it looked like it may have been number 3, Izagure.
It may have been him or Jose Hoya. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Izagare, number 3. Now that I see him on the throw-in. But to the rescue there, because Drought went up and stopped the first attempt.
Wasn't able to corral it cleanly, and that ball bounced right down to Veldhorst, and
Right.
he was in the right place at the right time, but even more so was number 3 for Essex.
Yeah, Veldhorst didn't get everything on it. It's a bit of an abbreviated kick, so to speak. He really didn't get all of it. But had Izagare not been there, the Raptors would be celebrating a 1-0 lead at the moment. Well, it's good to see that Kenji Doralis is back out there.
Good move.
Here's
Hit with
another
the left.
opportunity. And that would be a throw-in for the Raptors.
Yeah, it was a great combination play there between Kenji, Braga, those two with a little quick connection, able to spring loose. Number 6, Silva, able to get a shot off, but it was blocked. I love that combination play we've seen between those 3. Here's Kenji again with a nice little move.
Yeah, real quick feet there. Raptors are really putting the pressure on offensively. You kind of get the feeling it's almost inevitable here. They are really knocking on the door. And again, Essex has really been pinned down on their defensive side.
Yeah, and what really surprises me is mainly because this is an Essex team that scores, 5 goals a game, right? So we're not talking about a team that only averages, 1.5, 2 goals, and they just have had nothing offensively. This Raptors team has just possessed the ball. They've put such a high pressure on every turnover, and here's Braga again. So the Raptors looking to come back down the throat here, but this Essex defense has done a great job of really coming together at the right moment.
Well, they're a very stingy team. Goals against is just, there's another right on the doorstep. See if the Raptors should get a corner out of this.
Now, I remember you mentioned earlier about some stats for Booth and stuff. I think you said 1 goal and 2 assists for Booth. I've just been very impressed with his movement, and those numbers I don't think tell the whole story. Just by watching him in this first 20 minutes, his movement, and he moves in such a way that he's in the right place, he's making the right runs. I'm just very impressed overall with his ability so far. He's making good decisions. He's getting in behind the defense. And so a player that I'm going to keep an eye on the rest of this half for sure is Booth, because I've liked his movement so far.
Here's Ono with another corner. And that one, Drought just pulls right out of the air. So we're still scoreless. Approaching the halfway mark here in the first half.
In some ways, this was expected, though. We talked about it, and you mentioned, didn't expect it to be a high-scoring affair. And so, there's definitely some positives we've seen from the Raptors offensively, but this is 2 teams whose defense really has, in a lot of ways, driven the bus for both teams. Good defense, really great defense, leading to some good offense for them later on. But that is what I've been impressed by with both teams, is just defensively very strong.
Well, last year's regular season result was a bit of an aberration. The Raptors took it 5-1, but that's more the exception than the rule between these 2 teams. I've seen lots of 2-1, 3-2 matches between these 2 teams over the years. They've gone to overtime in regional championships. I mean, it's just, it's been a great rivalry. Essex, a perennial powerhouse in Maryland JUCO soccer. They are nationally ranked in the Division II national rankings. come in ranked number 12 in the country. And of course, as we said earlier, if the Raptors should win tonight, they would win the Maryland JUCO regular season championship. And that's got to be a foul. As Ramos goes down. If they do win tonight and win the Maryland JUCO championship, it'll be the first time that MC has the MC men have won Maryland JUCO since the last time Pedro Braz was here. He won it every year. He was here on his first stint. Last year was his first year back. Of course, COVID was in there. Kind of messed things up in terms of the league and championships, etc. Look there at Yutaro Akawa from Japan. Hokkaido, Japan. Quite a few players from Japan on this Essex roster. Both teams highly international, which certainly in MC's case is emblematic of the school itself. Over 150 countries represented in the student body here at Montgomery College. Montgomery College with 3 main campuses plus several other satellite campuses serving the county. Great way to get an education. Great way to get your education started. Come to MC. Save a ton of money and get a great education.
This little period here is probably the most that Essex has had the ball here in this first half. It still has not been very clean. The Raptors are continuing to disrupt them every time they get a couple of passes together. Essex either fouls or turns the ball over, and so the Raptors are just doing such an excellent job of breaking up this night offense that has just been prolific throughout this season.
A little lecture there by the ref, talking rather sternly to one of the Essex players. Whatever he said, it was clear he said, basically telling him to cut something out.
Yeah, and if he was talking to number 20, that's one of those I've said there's been a lot of bumping and running into other players and stuff, and that's been something that I think the referee has kind of been paying attention to as well.
Yeah, it was number 20, and that's Aiden Hadassah.
I mean, Hadassah knows how to get under people's skin. You know, it's one of his goals and jobs as a forward. You know, he has 11 goals on the season. So, you know, he knows kind of what he's doing. A guy with his size and his body and stuff knows how to be a pest in a lot of ways, how to kind of make his presence felt. And so he's got an MO. He knows what he needs to do. And this Raptors team knows what they've got to do to be able to shut him down and a couple other of these prolific scorers that Essex has.
Well, and Hadassah is from one of the coolest names of a town you could imagine. Sunshine Coast, Australia. I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty good right about now. Ooh,
yeah, it's going to be a high kick.
Play, yeah.
I really hope he didn't connect with him.
That was Cameron Nyhoff with the foul. Doesn't seem too concerned about it.
Sometimes the boot gets close to your head and you kind of fall down, and make it seem. So I'm hoping that's what the case was here. He seems to be
let's
moving just fine. He's not rubbing his face or anything. So I hope.
Let's
it's
hope
all
that
right.
was an Academy Award performance.
Yeah. So, Michael, I think if you're the Raptors, defensively, you keep doing what you're doing. You're disrupting this team. And I think offensively, in a lot of ways, you keep moving the ball like they're doing. You keep trying to find Booth. You keep switching the field. I really have liked what we've seen from the Raptors on the offensive side. We haven't seen the finished product. But I think there's been some good chances in a way of building up. We haven't seen a lot of shots on goal by any means. But the build-up, the switching of the play, the activity and the movement, I think this Raptors team can kind of build on.
There you go. There's Booth. Boy, his showing off his speed. That was not the result he wanted. He wanted a corner out of that one. But again, showing his impressive speed. Nathan Booth is from Johannesburg, South Africa. Raptors have several players from the African continent. As a matter of fact, the Raptors have players from every continent in the world on their roster this year. Pretty impressive. Good look there at Miguel Penalva for the Raptors. And this is Jose Hoya, one of their captains, with the kick. So far, the Raptors keeper has Marinho has really not been challenged.
No, he hasn't. One of the matchups I want us to keep an eye on, Michael, is number 5 for the Raptors, Murillo?
Yes.
And number 20 for Essex.
Hadassi.
There's just going to be a lot of physicality between those two, which we've already seen already. But especially on balls that get played in the air, it seems like Murillo is the one that's matching up for the most part with Hadassi. And that is just going to be an interesting matchup between those two because number 5, Murillo, has that strength to be able to battle with Hadassi. And so it's going to be a really fun matchup watching those two kind of battle throughout this one.
Here's a good little run down to Booth at offsides.
And that's, in a lot of ways, been Booth's kind of Achilles heel this season. In the games that I've covered, he struggled with that offside aspect. He would make some good runs, but his timing was just off at times. And those are the things, offsides aren't the end of the world, but they can really mess up a team's offensive flow whenever you're consistently offside. When you're consistently, your timing is just a little bit off because, as you said, he has that great motor. He makes those great runs, but it's that timing aspect that's so critical in soccer. And I think that's another thing people don't realize is how important timing is in soccer to make those runs, to make certain passes.
Absolutely. And, it gets frustrating, too, for a team. Almost down to the 15-minute mark.
So it looks like number 7, Ismail Dime, is going to come in for our Raptors, who's somebody we talked about at the beginning. Wasn't starting tonight. He's one of the leading goal scorers for this Raptor team.
Yeah, he's nationally ranked 8th in Division I with 11 goals.
Yeah, being double-digit goals in only 14 matches this season. That's a tough ask, And so to put that many goals in, that's hard at this D1 level, especially.
Marinho playing with a lot of energy when he actually has to play. he's done a lot of spectating in goal for the Raptors. There's Tice. I agree with you about the Murillo matchup. I think he's got the strength. He's got a strong-looking upper body. Here's Booth. And he's not happy with himself.
Yeah, and that's just, there's a lot of things I really like about his game, and there's just a few things that I think he really does need to work on, kind of tweak. It's really some of the timing issues, and then just some of the touch is just a little off at times, a little strong. He plays with a lot of energy, a lot of good movement. It's just a few little pieces that it feels like he's missing.
What a collision out there. Hammond and Kim knocked flat. So the Raptors going to reset.
It's going to be interesting to see because now Yakin is playing up top. And that is definitely a little bit of a different matchup between Yakin and Hadassi. So it's going to be interesting to see what Yakin brings when he plays at that center forward position.
Bartu Yakin, as we said, he's from the Netherlands. And he's their leading scorer. 16 goals.
Man, he's fast. What a move. Holy smokes.
That's it.
Oh, man.
So Yakin. Boy, that was some. Bartu has quite the celebration dance there.
Man, look at this finish. That touch around Murillo, finishing on the outside of his right foot. That touch that he had around Veldhorst and Murillo to be able to get wide and then to still have the patience, have the poise to be able to finish with the outside of his foot. I mean, there's a reason he's scored 17 goals this season, right? I mean, that was just electric. And no sooner than us talking about the difference between him and Hadassi, the way they play, does Yakin show us what he can do when he plays that lone center forward position.
Boy, that was, and I'm sure you noticed that Murillo had a grasp on him. He had him in basically a hold. And he just powered through it, showing a lot of power, a lot of speed, and great patience. That was a pretty goal. Very pretty goal. And great camera work on that goal, as always, by the MCTV crew.
Yeah, and the thing that just really stuck out to me about that goal is how quick his movement was, right? It was just all of a sudden that ball got there, and his first step was so explosive. And the thing that makes me a little curious, Michael, especially as I was comparing those two players, different styles of play we've seen between the two of them. Did Murillo and Veldhorst maybe get kind of lulled into the Hadassi aspect, the guy that's much bigger, the stronger type player, right? And then when a guy like Yakin, who is still incredibly strong, as you mentioned, with Murillo all over him, still able to beat him, but that explosiveness, right? And so maybe that kind of lulled those defenders into just a little bit of a hesitation, just a little bit of sleep, right? For him to be able to just blow by him and finish. I mean, you talk about a beautiful finish to the outside of the foot on using his right. I mean, it was just a fantastic display, individual display, truly. There's a finish.
There's a pretty one. There's a pretty one. As number 20, Miguel Penalva, puts it in. Beautiful kick on the penalty kick. Take another look.
There are certain areas where you do not want to give up a free kick, and right there is where you don't want to give one up, because that ball that was played in there was a perfect ball Penalva just getting his foot on it and putting the back of the net, but that was a dangerous spot for that free kick. And the Raptors, man, do they answer.
Boy, that's impressive. To give up that big goal to Yakin and then come right back. And that was just a perfect play.
Yeah, I think it was Braga on the pass is who played the ball in, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're right.
He played such a great ball in. I mean,
it was perfect.
Perfectly placed.
Yeah, perfectly placed.
All right, this is fun, Michael. This is what we wanted right here. Back and forth, both of these teams, a lot of energy. Man, what a display over a 2-minute period. No goals for 33 minutes, and then we've gotten 2 in the last 2 minutes.
That's soccer for you. It can happen so quickly. Like in our first game tonight, I'm reading the starting lineup, and they scored twice.
He couldn't even get through either lineup without one goal being scored in both.
Raptors tried to draw a foul there to no avail. So right back to 1-1. Approaching the 9-minute mark in the first half. Last couple of minutes.
Yeah, it's going to be a yellow. It's going to be immediate yellow there.
Oh boy, that was.
It's a great combination play there between two of the Raptors and
Angel Ramos.
Yeah, Ramos was absolutely snatched to the ground there. I'm surprised his jersey didn't rip.
And it's a yellow on number 2, Jose Hoya, one of the captains for Fiedler does not agree with that call.
I think that's the right call. I mean, I think the referee has to call that one there, especially early in it. Both teams got a goal. One celebration was kind of bonkers, and it got kind of both the fans fired up. And so I think that's the type of – what a shot
there. Oh, my goodness. Adnero put some leg on that one.
Yes, he did.
And he didn't miss it by much, folks. Wow. I'll take another look. I'll tell you what, that wasn't too far off.
Yeah, that was great form and stuff. He didn't try to hit it too hard, tried to stay over it, just leaned back just a tad, and that ball barely sailed over the crossbar.
Whew. This place would have gone crazy if that had gone in. So we've had an excellent first half, lots of action. And obviously still anybody's match, just what we were hoping for. But don't forget, we've got some fun coming up at halftime. Also hope to talk to the youth league coach at the top of the second half. So stick with us.
Great effort there by Braga, getting a foot on that one.
Good crowd here tonight.
I don't think I was the only person with this match circled on my calendar, that's for sure. A
No,
lot
I
of
don't think
people
so.
a lot of people knew what was at play with these two teams, and the fact that the Raptors can even clinch tonight is such a huge atmosphere. A lot of fun happening in the crowd and a little bit of smack talk too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And we've got the youth soccer team, and they're fired up.
They're getting ready for their big halftime match.
Yeah. Have a the scrimmage at halftime with the Sharks United Soccer Academy. Soccer is huge in this area. And Braga goes down. And pops right back up.
I believe Hadassi was part of that, which is no surprise. Which is no surprise there. So it's interesting now. Hadassi has moved more into that center forward position. Yakin is playing more on the right wing.
With the throw in. Essex on the attack, but there's Feldhorst again.
Yeah, not a great pass there by number 6, Nogami. I really thought he should have played that ball out wide. Instead, he tried to play that through ball. He had Yakin out on the wing. Need to feed a player like that when he's open.
Absolutely. And he's feeling it right now, I guarantee it, after that beautiful goal. Here he comes. And
just wide.
Wow.
Just wide. Man.
He thought he had it, I think.
5 minutes remaining in the half. 5 minutes remaining in the half.
There's that combination, though, between a couple of those guys on Essex up top. You know, you can find Yakin kind of making that little run. He only needs a little bit of space, and man, I thought that ball was going to end up in the back of the net.
I did too. Brillo paid the price on that.
Yeah, he did.
Kick. Booth. Number 7 is in for the Raptors now. Well, Ishmael Demi. We have yet to see the Raptors' leading scorer below him. Here's a good look at the Sharks.
They're getting stretched and warmed up.
Yeah. Something tells me they were already warm. That's a energetic group of young people there. There's a shot that's going to be stopped by Drought.
Yeah, that's one of those plays. You made such a great effort there in the midfield, winning that ball, number 14, Kim. But he had a few yards, you know. Take 2 or 3 dribbles and then look up and think about that shot. He just rushed that, which I hate seeing because he made such a great individual effort on defense. Take your time, push it forward. You know, it's one of those things as young guys, you kind of learn that. A guy coming in off the bench, he was subbed in. You know, it's one of those things you kind of figure out as you go, but you also have to have some of that communication too. All right, your teammates need to tell you you've got time, things of that nature.
Yeah, that's a case where maybe a little communication out on the field would have helped.
Yeah, maybe that was a lack of it. Maybe he just sometimes your stomach is a little bit too big, you know, for your eyes, and you know, you just kind of try to rip one to make something happen. But you know, no harm, no foul. It's always good to test the keeper from distance, keep him awake.
Other than that one goal by Yakin, the Raptors really have. The Raptors defense has really done a great job of they really haven't allowed Essex to get much going offensively.
You know, I agree with that, Michael, but I haven't felt like either team has really dominated in a lot of ways. I do feel like it's been pretty even for the most part.
There's Hadassi.
Yeah, Hadassi again. Yeah, it's going to be no call. Referee waves that off. I thought there was no way that wasn't going to be a foul call there.
On the Raptors.
Wow.
Yes, and that would have been a very dangerous free kick.
Oh, man. I thought the referee has done a pretty good job tonight. That one there has me scratching my head a little bit.
Demi does a nice job of maintaining possession there.
This first half has flown by.
It
I
really
felt
has.
like this first half has just absolutely flown by.
It's been great soccer. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Two experienced teams, two well-coached teams, skilled teams. A lot to like about this match. Comes Essex and trying to get something going here.
It's one of those things, too, when you talk about the talent level. You know, we talk about, Montgomery College being D1, Essex being D2. Man, there just does not seem much of a difference talent-wise
No.
between these two teams in particular. In some of the teams, you do see that,
Yeah.
but for these two, the talent level is just fantastic on both ends.
It really is. And they're both very international teams. I don't know how much that has to do with it, but no, I had no doubt that this was going to be an even match. The D1, D2, it's kind of a technical difference.
Yeah.
Particularly when you have a program like Essex that has a tradition of excellence.
Yeah.
And they've been a strong program for a long time, as have the Raptors. Started way back with Tom Bickey. He started the program here at Montgomery College back in the 60s, and there haven't been many lean years. So we got a yellow card on the Raptors. It appears
It's going to be number 17.
that's Mateo Munoz.
Yeah. Not sure where exactly it happened or what, but what happened was the assistant referee is the one that actually saw it and
I saw that.
called
Yeah.
him over.
Yes.
And that's one of those things. As an assistant referee, you've got to be empowered to do that kind of stuff. And this is one of the things, Michael, I think about all the time. Think about all the other sports leagues in the world, right? In soccer, you've only got 3 referees on the field. For as big of a field it is, think about basketball. They've got 3 for just the court. You think about football. You think about baseball, right? For soccer, you've only got 3. So you have to have assistant referees that are really your eyes and ears
Yeah, they're
as a
not
center
just there
referee,
to- They're not just there calling offsides
No.
and out of bounds.
You need them to keep an eye on all the other
Yeah.
extracurriculars going on.
And frankly, that's one of the first times I've seen that happen. I've called a lot of soccer games over the years where
7, 6,
there-
5,
that's going to be the end of the first half.
2, 1.
And that is the end of the first half, and we are all knotted up at 1 goal apiece. And with 45 minutes of great soccer action yet to follow. And this is interesting here. He's getting an explanation for what he did, why he got the card.
And I don't ever have a problem with that, truly, especially just understanding what happened, why this is said, what's going on. And so, as long as it's all done respectfully,
Yeah.
and that's what really the referees want, and that's what student athletes want too. It's just communication. Tell
Yeah.
me what's going on.
Well, all right. Well, Caleb and I are we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back to talk about what's coming up at the half.
what happens to elements under extreme pressure?
They transform, become something new.
Something formidable.
Are you keeping up?
It's not just physics.
It's a metaphor for the Raptors.
Yeah, we are made of something special. More than just the crest on our chest.
Under the spotlight, under the pressure, we come alive.
We're not just playing the game, we're redefining it. With every pass,
Every dribble,
Every set.
and every play. This is not just a game for us.
It's just who we are.
We raise doubts as we raise the bar. So to anyone who thinks they're ready to challenge us,
bring it on.
We are the Raptors.
we're ready.
We ready.
Bring it on, we're ready.
And welcome back to the Rockville campus of Montgomery College. We're at halftime where everything's tied up, one apiece between Montgomery College and CCBC Essex. And I'm going to take a little break here, but I do want to remind you that what you're going to be seeing at halftime is a scrimmage match involving the Sharks United Academy youth soccer teams. And the head coach is Rafael Hernandez. And there he is right there in red with the glasses. And so enjoy the kids. They're going to be out here putting on an exhibition at halftime. And then as the second half starts, we hope to get a chance to talk to Coach Hernandez about the program and his goals, etc. So enjoy this. We'll be back in just a few minutes with our second half action.
2, 3.
So you don't know what you're gonna do. So many options, but still confused. College degree is on your mind, but where to go, you can't decide. You never know if you never try. So what are you waiting for? It's time to make your move and make your dreams come true. Now is the time to start. No better place for you. So come and be a part of the family here at MC. Come and be a part of the family here at MC. Come and be a part of the family here at MC.
Troubles in my mind.
MC is defined by those who put in the work. The paths we took have been unique, but we come together with one shared mission.
If you are the first in your family to graduate, if you speak more than one language, if you are more than 50 years old, a military service member, an honor student, if you are a parent, please stand up and say, I am MC.
We don't just begin to be inspired by them after graduation. They've been inspiring us every step of the way.
Exhausted, this passion is never exhausted. You cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
And welcome back to the Rockville campus of Montgomery College. Michael Brown alongside my partner, Caleb Scarborough. And Caleb, that was an exciting first half, and we are expecting more of the same in the second.
Man, that first half absolutely flew by, and it really was all Raptors for the first chunk of time until all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Yakin for Essex got the scoring started, and right after that it seemed like the pace of play and the intensity level raised for both teams, and the Raptors were able to even things up. And so an awesome first half, and we were pumped about this second half as well.
Well, we sure are. And at halftime, we had the pleasure of watching the Sharks United Soccer Academy youth soccer team having some fun out there on the pitch. And we are joined right now by their head coach and actually the founder of the whole program, Rafael Hernandez. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the academy. You started it in August of 21. What inspired it, and how are things going with the program?
Well, first I was coaching adult males in the Latin community. That exposed me to soccer, coaching-wise. And then my son started playing soccer, and then he did not want to play anymore when he was 3 years old. And then I thought I lost my son, my soccer player. So I took him for the team. I said, okay, that's fine. I lost my player, no problem. A year and a half later, he just sees me that I'm watching soccer on TV, and then he says, Dad, I want to play that. I'm like, okay. And then we started doing that, and next thing you know, he just wanted me to be his coach. We offer him the possibility to join another academy. He will not have it. And next thing you know, I'm doing it.
So you must devote a lot of hours every week to the endeavor.
I do. I have a day job, and this is my hobby, and I enjoy my hobby. The kids, they bring out the best of me, and I love coaching all of them. Each one of them brings their own personality. I love it. It's great. It's great because I want them to grow up to be not necessarily great soccer players. Everybody has a ceiling to an extent at this level, but I want them to be young adults, good citizens all across the board.
Well, that leads me to the next question, which is sort of the aims and the goals of your program. It's not to turn out a bunch of guys who are going to play for maybe we'll have some play for Montgomery College, but that is not necessarily the end goal.
Correct. My end goal for them is to be good role models in the community, do the right things, and part of it is be good leaders in the community as well, give back to the community. Those are the things that I want them to do. And the most important thing that I teach the kids is respect. We have to respect each other. We're a very diverse academy, so we have players from all backgrounds, and respect is important.
And the program has grown.
It has, a little faster than I wanted to. It's a great problem to have, but it has, and most of it is just word of mouth. Parents are just happy the way I train the kids. The kids like the fun activities that I bring to them, and the most important thing is that I want to make sure that they have a good time at practice. They enjoy it. They actually want to come to practice. And that, I can tell that it's working because my attendance rate for the practice is really good.
That's great. That's great. Being an old coach myself, sometimes you never knew how many players were going to show up for the practice part.
I hear you.
And tell me a little bit about it. It's great that they're being exposed to Montgomery College at such a young age.
It is, and the kids, when they look at an older person, especially the little ones, they think they're 100 years old. And I'm like, no, they're actually only 10 years older than you. So when we had that opportunity to come to see a few Raptor games at MC, we jumped on the opportunity. And this has been a very good experience because it gives the kids a different view of the sport and also like what else is happening. Actually, just a little anecdote here. Before we came up, I had to teach them the word obnoxious. I was like, we'll be a little obnoxious here, and they're like, no. I'm like, we need to understand that there are other people here that want to enjoy the match like we do, so we want to make sure that we are doing the same thing as well. So that was actually good for them to understand.
Well, that's great, and I don't know. I just love the tradition. A lot of leagues do it where the players walk out with the younger kids. We had them on camera earlier, and they're looking at these guys like, wow, you know. And I guess for some of them, they're thinking, maybe that's me someday.
Well, actually, I've had like 3 or 4 that actually said that they were actually thinking about maybe playing for MC.
Awesome.
So I'm like, okay, well, let's see what we can do. But the first thing I told them was, well, look how hard they have to work. That's the key thing. You know, let's keep that in mind as you move forward.
Well, it's a terrific program, and what's the age range of the kids?
The youngest that we have is 3 years old. The oldest is 13 years old. When we play our games, we are putting them by age level, and that's the way we play the games. So right now, I currently have 4 teams in competitions. The rest are just receiving training, individual training right now.
So, and you're headquartered in Germantown?
Yes.
Okay. So, it's a wonderful program. I believe this is your second year coming to Montgomery College for a Raptors game.
Actually, it's the third one.
Oh,
yes,
okay. I missed the first one.
Yes, this is our third one. We started with the men's, then we did the women's game, which was a lot of fun.
Right.
And then we're doing the men's game this time around.
Oh, that's terrific. That's terrific. Well, congratulations. I think what you're doing is great. I know that Montgomery College is really happy to be hosting you guys here tonight. And I know you have a little special interest in the college as well.
Well, I do, but it's not just that. I used to be a student here myself. I used to be a student, and so I do know and I appreciate community college. This was actually my campus here. So I definitely have a close to my heart with the Raptors. So I do that, but I do appreciate the invitation from Montgomery College, and this is a very good experience for my kids, because when we go to practice, we can talk about what student athlete life is like compared after we see this game.
Yeah, you'll probably be able to pull a lot of lessons out of what they're experiencing here tonight.
1 or 2.
Yeah. We love their cheering section too. So.
Well, I appreciate that they actually started doing that on their own. I try to have a little time for them to do it, so that they loved it. They had a good time, and they started doing it. Next thing you know, the goal score came in, so that was awesome.
It doesn't feel obnoxious up here. We're enjoying watching them, seeing on camera
and
stuff,
right
and there they are having a good old time. So we have not felt like it's been obnoxious at all.
There's a good shot of some of the young guys right there.
Now, a question I had for you, Coach. I know you guys talk a lot about leadership and stuff. Like, what does that look like, kind of raising up a generation of leaders and stuff? Because I know you guys do something special with a jersey and like stuff like that. So can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Sure. So every new member to the academy gets a complimentary blue training jersey that they have to wear at practice. That's a mandatory requirement for them, and if they don't wear it, there'll be certain things that need to be taken care of. But on top of that, I am always evaluating players, how they are at practice, how they are during games, how responsible they are, how committed they are to the team, and how they help their teammates during the game. It might be the selfish player that just wants the ball all the time, or am I willing to pass the ball and help my teammates to get better and everything. So the players that you see with the red training shirts are actually my captains that have shown over time that they can become good leaders. And when I have certain special activities that I wanted to do, the captains take the lead. And I explained to the other players that they are to give them the respect that they deserve, and of course the captains, I hold them accountable because I expect more from them than the blue training players.
That's terrific. That's
awesome.
Terrific.
That's awesome.
That's a terrific learning experience. All right. Well, I tell you what, Coach. Thanks so much for taking time out and coming in and enlightening us quite a bit on the Sharks Academy.
You're very welcome, and most importantly, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys putting up with us.
Oh, no, we're glad to have you.
Yeah, we love it, and up.
And a Raptors take the lead.
You brought us some luck there as number 10,
Braga.
Caio Braga scores. He had the assist earlier, so Caio is out of Brazil, by the way. So yeah, just every continent in the United States or in the world is represented on the Raptors team.
That's awesome.
Just like your program, which is very, very diverse.
It definitely
which
is.
Terrific. So, Coach Hernandez, thanks so much. We really
thanks for coming,
appreciate
Coach.
it.
We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Have a good night.
All right. So, back to it, and the Raptors take a quick lead here in the second half.
Man, that was just an awesome way to kind of finish our talk with Coach for the Raptors to kind of take the lead and stuff. You know, I mean, honestly, like, what better luck could we have gotten from Coach being in here talking with us about his program, which he just loves, right? Like, he just loves it.
The
to
joy
talk
on
about
that,
it.
the joy on that man's face
Yeah, I mean-
is infectious. He loves what he's doing, I mean, back in an earlier life, I did a lot of coaching myself, and I know it's difficult, it's taxing, but it's really, really worth it. So, and he definitely exudes that. Ooh, there's one of their top scorers there, Hadassah, is down. So the Raptors score while we were chatting. Caio Braga with the goal. That is his 6th of the season. Go on with a couple of assists. So
Yeah, I mean, that was-
I'm sorry, 3 assists because he had the assist on,
Yeah, he
on
did.
the Raptors' first goal.
Yep. He has been fantastic tonight, either facilitating or finishing. I mean, that was just a great goal by the Raptors. And one of those things that we were talking about during the break was, yeah, we really felt like this could go either way here in the second half between these two teams that played really well towards the second part of that first half. And this Raptor team able to grab a 2-1 lead.
Well, the first goal of the match was scored by Essex, and that was Yakin, Bartu Yakin, and then the Raptors answered that almost immediately off a free kick, when Caio Braga set up Miguel Penalva.
Veldhorst made sure Yakin felt the turf on that one. he leaned into that one a little bit extra to make sure Yakin hit the ground a little bit there. I mean, Veldhorst has been battling back there, so has Murillo this entire match. I mean, you're talking about battling against Yakin Hadassah, two guys that have combined for 28 goals now with Yakin's goal tonight. So,
But it makes me wonder, as Veldhorst and Yakin are both from the Netherlands, whether they have known each other for a while. Netherlands is not a huge country.
No,
so
it's really not.
It's quite possible they may have played each other at the secondary school level, the high school level. Here's an opportunity for the, nice defensive play there.
Oh, I thought that ball bounced up and hit a hand.
Hernandez with the stop for, and it did almost look like it got him on the hand. If it did, it was missed. And that would have been a great opportunity for the Raptors. There's a good look at Pedro Braz, head coach of the Raptors. Very successful. One of the most successful coaches in the history of Montgomery College. Men's or women's. And there is the head coach for Essex, Joe Fiedler. And Joe's had quite a record at Essex. Overall, he is 141, 50, and 10. And at one point, he won 10 straight Region 20 championships while he was there.
Yeah, I think that's what you call building and maintaining a program.
Yeah.
You know, whenever you do something like that, that's competing at the highest level consistently and stuff. I mean, that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. Particularly at this level, with players only being here for a couple of years, maybe 3 if they have a red shirt.
It's that quick turnover on the players and stuff. I mean, it's got to be so hard to consistently be good.
I mean,
at this level,
you know, you start every year with, you know, at least half your team you've never coached them before. So you got to make you got to form a team real quickly.
Great ball here. Hadassi just barely offsides. Man, I thought he timed that run perfectly to get behind Veldhorst. That one had to be close.
And great opportunity for Essex. About 15 minutes into the second half. Raptors on top, 2-1. Goal by Caio Braga. Put the Raptors ahead. Goal in the first half was scored by Panava. The goal by Essex is by Yakin.
That's great work in the goal there by Marino. Really able to read that through ball. Knights were trying to find Yakin on a through, and the keeper able to read that one off his line quickly. It's a good ball.
Wow. Nice header there by Ono. Raptors had something going there.
And the Raptors having this 2-1 lead is, you know, even more surprising in a lot of ways, as we've mentioned. The Raptors don't have some of their normal starters or their leading goal scorers. You know, they're missing their starter and keeper. We haven't seen Balui, we haven't seen Dime except a few minutes, and we're talking some real talent and stuff that we haven't seen out here on the pitch. To have this 2-1 lead, it speaks volumes to really the depth, right? To the depth, and also guys really, you know, stepping up in those moments.
We haven't seen Jonathan Kuhn either for the Raptors. He's got 5 goals on the season.
Another offsides flag here.
Yep. Didn't give much on it anyway. Hear those that Shark youth team over there with their "Let's Go Raptors" cheer.
Hey, listen, Coach, that's not obnoxious at all. That's just straight up cheering. So if they want to cheer, let them cheer their hearts out.
Yep.
It does not bother us by any means.
No, we love it. We love it.
Such a cool aspect too. We're talking about the red jerseys, the blue jerseys, leadership. You know, at that age, you know, you're thinking about 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, you know, even 13-year-olds. Like, to give them that responsibility, that empowerment to really be a leader among their peers is just such an awesome idea and approach.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and that's really going to help those kids mature. Oh boy, look out! Oh, what a stop by Murillo.
Yeah, I really like that split there. That was a beautiful move to be able to split the 2 center backs there for the Raptors. Just a little too heavy of a touch.
Yeah.
And the keeper was off his line quickly to get out there and get that.
Wow.
But I really like that move by Maldonado.
Yeah. That had goal written all over it. There's a...
Yeah, it's probably going to be a card here in Yakin,
Yeah.
I would think.
That's a dangerous play.
Yeah, just unnecessary.
He's apologetic. I'm sure Angel Ramos appreciates that. Or maybe not.
Listen, I can tell you that the center ref was definitely not too pleased after the goal celebration that Yakin had to run over to the sidelines and stuff. It's a fine line, you know, between your celebrations and unsportsmanlike behaviors.
That was a little, yes, his celebration was slightly over the top. And
hey, listen, it was a big goal. Granted, I mean, this is a huge goal, first goal of the game. This matchup between these two teams that are both ranked in their divisions, like, it's a big matchup. I think we're probably going to see another yellow card here.
He pulled him down. That was the Raptors' Ramos.
Nah, he's not going to his pocket. Looks like it's just going to be a foul. But this is a dangerous spot for a free kick, and this is what we talked about with that goal that Braga assisted on earlier. This is a dangerous spot. This is almost the opposite side from where the Raptors scored that goal in the first half to tie things up.
So Ramos returns the favor to Yakin and helps him up. So they're even now.
Yeah, and that's why I was a little surprised there was no yellow, mainly because he had just gotten fouled.
Right.
And it was just a little surprising.
And then he comes back and sort of drags him down. He had the arm around the waist. So here we go.
So really almost the opposite side from where the Raptors scored here. It's a good ball.
Oh, a real nice ball. Nobody got a head on it.
Yeah, it looks like they may have gotten a head on each other here.
Got a Raptor down. And actually a Knight down as well.
Yeah, it looks like it's Murillo for the Raptors.
And I can't quite make out the number.
It might be number 17. It might be Schroeder. I think it's Schroeder possibly.
Tom Schroeder from Germany.
I couldn't tell if they hit heads, if it was shoulder to shoulder, or what exactly it was.
We had this happen in the women's match.
Yeah.
In a very similar play, actually. And there is Andre Anderson. Andre is a former MC soccer player. And as you can see, he's got the MCTV garb on. He works for the station now. And I've had an opportunity to work with Andre. He's a great guy. Very knowledgeable soccer mind. As we get another good look at the Sharks United. Now we understand. Okay, so down for the Raptors is
number 6, Silva.
Number 6, Silva.
Yeah, Silva. Good news is Schroeder is up and he's moving for the Knights.
Looks like Silva's more of a leg.
Yeah.
An ankle or a knee. So they may have, who knows, they may have hit.
Sometimes when you come down to, you land on somebody's foot, just tweak that ankle just a little bit, anything like that.
He apparently wants to stay in.
Yeah, they're going to have to take him off.
They're going to have to take him out for a while. Yeah, because he was down. All right, so good look there at Aiden Hadassah. Sunshine Coast, Australia. Big guy.
We haven't seen him with the ball at his foot much this game. We've seen him running into people and causing some collisions, but we haven't seen him on the ball much. Whether that's receiving it, whether that's passing it, just he hasn't touched the ball a lot. We've said his name a lot. He's been active, but we haven't seen him do much with the actual ball.
Yoshiki Ono for the Raptors. Ono is from Tokyo, Japan. Wow, this is quite a break we've had. Raptors holding on to a 2-1 lead. And they are not content to stop there, I guarantee it. No lead is safe when it's just one goal. Here we go. Ramos. The Raptor ball for a throw in. Veldhorst. Good strong kick.
Essex has possessed the ball better in this second half. Really, after that goal they scored in the first half, they have possessed the ball much better, and this is probably one of their best periods of the game, of actually making some runs and connecting a few passes together.
Raptors trying to get it out of there.
Yeah, the Raptors have seemed to let off the pedal just a little bit here.
Wonder how much that pause in the action
never helps.
It never helps, particularly when they're playing at this intensity.
Yep.
To stand around for 3, 4, 5 minutes, granted for a valid reason, an injury, but still, it's a momentum killer. I would say Essex has been more of the aggressor here.
Yeah, they just
offense.
had more time. They've had more space, and that's going to be a foul there, and I would not be surprised to see a card, and yep, that is going to be one. But they have, kind of what you were saying, Michael, they've just, that space has opened up a little bit more in the midfield, and they're able to kind of slip some passes through, get the ball up to some forwards, and the forwards are making some great first touches to put some pressure on the defense. I mean, this is what you'll see as Murillo cuts down number 10 Maldonado in another dangerous spot here. And so Raptors playing with a little bit of fire right now.
This is they're tempting fate here. And see who's going to take the kick. They're going to keep us guessing.
Raptors are going to put like 5 in the wall here.
It's like, there it is, it's high.
Yeah, not a great shot there.
No.
It's one of those sometimes where the trickery is almost too much. You know, there's a balance. Yeah. There's definitely a balance and stuff, and being down 2-1, 25-ish minutes to go in the match, it's probably best just to rear back and absolutely try to put one best on frame without all the dancing in front. But I want to go back to the Raptors playing with a little bit of fire right now. We need to see offensively if they can get back to the ways that they were going. We haven't talked about Booth much here in the second half at all. We haven't seen him.
He's been quiet.
Yeah, we haven't seen him with the ball much. You know, they did get that goal. Braga was able to get him on, but you know, besides that, we really haven't talked much about the Raptors offense here in the second half.
No.
A player we talked about a lot in the first half was number 23, Kenji, and I don't feel like Kenji has been as influential in the second half. But notice he is playing a little bit different. He's playing kind of out in the right midfield in this second half, whereas in the first half he was playing more of a center defensive mid role. And so an interesting kind of change of tactics putting him out wide.
Ooh. A little too close for comfort there.
That's some of that playing with fire that we keep saying. You know, it's the Knights are knocking on the door. Truly. They're at the castle and they're knocking on the door.
Renho working that quad a little bit.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of, like I said, Penalva is now playing kind of that center defensive mid role, and Kenji is playing out wide. Now, granted, Silva did get hurt, and that's one of the things we have to keep in mind, too, is Silva did get hurt, which brought in number 8, I believe, for the Raptors, Ribeiro, and he's playing that right back role where Silva was at. So I think that probably has come into play where Coach Braz has had to make some changes, but it's been noticeable. It's been noticeable in the controlling the ball, the passing the ball, the facilitation aspect that Kenji kind of brings to that center defensive mid, and he does a great job of kind of that beginning part of that anchor for the defense.
Got very physical in there, and there's an Essex player down. Wow! Another collision in front of the net.
Yeah, it was Yakin going up for that one.
And he hits Marinho. And
yeah, it looks like Yakin's got a cramp going on here.
Marinho is back up, but Yakin is not. Yep, they're working on the leg.
But this kind of goes back to what you said before, though. Yakin is getting stretched out by Veldhorst, who's a fellow. So this may not have been the first time these two have played against each other, that's for sure. Like, oh, here we go again. Yakin needs his leg stretched out.
Well, Veldhorst took care of it, apparently. He doubles as an on-field trainer, apparently. Boy, look at that leg from Murillo.
I love Veldhorst taking the space here.
Yeah, I do too. Bring it up.
Good. Such a good idea. What happened there, number 11 kind of vacated that spot for the Raptors. He was there, and that ball was played into Adenero, number 11, but he kind of took a step back, and that ball was turned over.
Approaching the 20-minute mark, Raptors still holding on to a 2-1 lead. We were tied at the half, 1-1, and then the Raptors scored early in the second half to make it 2-1. Here's a breakaway. Here's Booth. He had an idea, didn't really pan out.
Yeah, promising kind of period of play there.
He was going for Ono. Ono couldn't quite get enough on it. Draught. Marinho's had a tough second half for the Raptors, but hasn't been scored on this half.
Love that ball.
Oh, that was
Great
a nice
ball.
pass. Here's another
Through
nice
ball.
one. Look out. And they get it out. Here they come again. Their pressure is pretty relentless.
Yeah, the Raptors are doing a good job there. Veldhorst on that first stop, that through ball that was going in, Veldhorst did a great job of stepping up and able to break that one, because that first little chance I thought was super dangerous, but the Raptors are just playing with fire right now.
They really are. They've allowed Essex quite a few opportunities, and they call that a clean one. Slide tackle to take it away, but Essex is continuing to put on the pressure. Question is the dam going to break here for the Raptors? So far, they're holding strong, but Essex really putting on the pressure.
Yeah, that Silva injury has really kind of moved a couple of players around for the Raptors, and that defense back there, the stranglehold they really had on this Essex team for a period of time just kind of disappeared with some just movement. What a play there by Adenero.
And there's a shot. Oh, nice stop by Drought.
What a rip there by Ono.
Boy, he got a lot on
Man,
that
he
one.
hit that one as about as clean as you could. Great play there in the back.
I'm going to get another quick look at it. Wow.
And there's a goal.
So that is Joaquin Foster. I believe that's the first we've called his name today.
That is the first time.
And that's his third goal of the season.
I mean,
going to get a look at it. We were in replay. And again, that time they just got behind the defense.
Yeah, he went right down the heart and a beautiful finish. I mean, that is about as poised as you could be to make that finish there. And man, just when we were talking about what a shot from Ono on one side, a great save by the keeper, turns into a goal on the other end.
Well, let's see if the Raptors can answer. They did in the first half. They came right back after Essex took a 1-0 lead. It felt almost inevitable that Essex was going to score, the kind of pressure they had been putting on.
Yeah, it's like we said, that dam, you said it moments before, is the dam going to break? And
the Raptors now, they've got plenty of time. Over 17 minutes to go in the match. There's no rush, there's no panic. But here comes Adasi. No, I'm sorry, that's 21, Alvarado. And Essex is not done. There's a shot. It's high and way off.
yeah, I mean, the big thing with that goal being scored by Foster, Michael, is the fact that what two players were not on the field when he scored? The two guys that we have talked about numerous times, two guys have 28 goals in the season.
Right.
Hadassi, Yakin, neither of them on the pitch. When Foster comes in to tie this matchup between these two teams that are just electric, right? A huge matchup between these two teams.
Somebody being worked on that. On the side there, another cramp. Oh, that's one of the captains, Jose Hoya. It's not hot. It's a beautiful night, but if these guys aren't hydrating properly.
Yeah, that has been a little bit concerning. I thought that too. It's not the heat. It's one of those things that this time of the season you're usually in pretty good shape and stuff. The heat's not really a factor, and it's just so important to have your body ready for these matchups.
Yeah, you got to hydrate even when it's cool, and it's cool tonight. Most of the players wearing long sleeves. Beautiful night for soccer. The wind did die down. It was rather breezy earlier, but pretty still now. Not a factor.
This is what we came here for, a great matchup between these two teams.
Well, we have not been disappointed.
No.
This match has lived up to the expectation. Under 15 minutes to go now. Still plenty of time. The Raptors do not need to be frenetic. They, take their time, set it up.
No, but it does feel like things are kind of swinging their way. It does feel like they're possessing the ball and passing it a little bit better after they gave up that second goal.
Another shot on goal, an easier stop for Drott. He had a beauty earlier. It's a tough position, keeper. We've had beautiful camera work all night long here from our incredible MCTV crew. Another nice attack by the Raptors. Nope. Been very few corners in the second half. I don't know if we've had any.
Yeah, it's been very few here in the second half. It's been a different game almost in the second half. There's been a period of time where it felt like Essex was just knocking on the door. They get that second goal, and now it feels kind of like the Raptors are starting to kind of formulate their plan for how do we get this third goal. What's this going to look like? But one thing I will point out is Kenji has moved back to the middle. So Kenji's not playing out wide anymore. They've moved him back to the middle, which is where I think he has been the most effective for the Raptors, not only offensively but also defensively. When he plays kind of that center defensive mid role, I think that's when the Raptors are at their best.
And Beloy is now in for the Raptors, number 12. He's eating his spot. He's got the pink cleats. And so that's interesting that he has come off the bench now. We may have missed him earlier perhaps, but I don't think so.
No, he's relatively new coming in.
He looks fresh. Maybe that's the strategy. Obviously it must be. Didn't get much on that one with the left foot.
Yeah, Beloy came in the 73rd minute. So yeah, very recently.
Yeah, so he should be fresh the rest of the way, which could possibly be a stroke of genius.
Yeah, and you never know why coaches make certain decisions and stuff, you know, whether that's practice performance, maybe he's got an injury that's bothering him, maybe it's all sorts of different things too, you know.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's one of those things we know what he's capable of doing, which is scoring goals and facilitating goals. And so if you're a Raptor fan, seeing him on the field with a little bit of time left, a little under 12 minutes, I mean, you like your chances what he brings to the pitch.
Kenji is out there as well. Dorelis.
And I'm curious when Yakin and Hidasi are going to come back in, if they do.
Yakin is out there now.
Good, okay.
Yeah. I believe.
Yeah, Yakin's here on the near side.
Yeah. Down goes Booth. And getting a little, gonna have a yellow card here on number 6, Nagami. And Ono's going to do the honors. Two, all tied up. And this is a regular season match, so there would not be overtime. If this were the playoffs, of course, we would have overtime. And there's a slide tackle, and they're going to call a foul.
Gonna have another yellow here.
Another yellow. So all of a sudden,
yeah,
The yellows are popping out all over the place.
Yeah, and I understand that, one, because you don't want the game to get out of control.
Exactly.
I felt like that one didn't need a yellow card, but it's one of those things that with this being 2-2, like you said, these two teams both with 10 wins on the season, they're separated by only a tie in the standings, all of those different things, and the crowd aspect of stuff, you just got to keep it calm.
Yeah, you do.
Nice play there by Veldhorst getting ahead on that.
Raptors not in much of a hurry here. Again, there's plenty of time. There's a shot. Good stop.
Yeah, great save there by the keeper. That is not an easy one. He was quick off his feet. And what I mean by that is he reacted. He saw that ball well and reacted quickly because that ball had some pace on it.
It did, and it never got more than about a foot off the turf. That's an easy one to let through, to slide through. He got a lot on that.
Yeah, he hit the ball well.
Inside 9 minutes now. There's a push. That'll be a foul. No card, but a foul. Great shot of the setup here. Shot. Oof. Belowy. Smart play. Raptors ball. TK Belowy checked in the 73rd minute. Comes in with 8 goals on the season, 6 assists, and 2 game winners.
Yeah, so Beloy is in, and also number 7, Dime, as well. He just checks back in.
Okay, so that's the Raptors putting their goal scorers out there. Dime with 11 goals, 3 game winners. This is an ideal opportunity for somebody to pick up a game winner tonight. Tied with 7:20 to go. Trout. Morris. Raptors. Essex defense is really pressing.
Yeah, a little bit of a bailout play there. That's one of those things that coaches don't love whenever you have a guy having to retreat. You're on his back, he can't turn, you're all over him, and then you just decide to give him a little bit of push. And it's one of those things as a player, if you feel that push, what are you going to do?
You're going to
immediately go
You're
down.
going to sell it.
Yeah, immediately, because you're in a terrible spot, right?
Yeah.
By doing that, you get to breathe, get your chance to hold on to the ball, all of that. And so they aren't pressing high. They're losing a little bit of their discipline, but what I'm liking from the Raptors, they are looking to switch the field. They are looking to kind of stretch this defense a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're going from side to side.
And we've seen cramping and stuff being a problem tonight, and I do kind of think the Raptors are trying to test the will almost of this Essex team.
Ooh. Louis almost with an opportunity there. Just keep it in their end. Here we go. Good idea.
Yeah, that was great defense there by number 3.
Yeah.
Izigure, who just read that completely because Braga tried to find Balui with that through ball, but even better defense to shut that down.
Yeah. Great idea by the Raptors, but great defense foils it. And we are now approaching the 4-minute mark. They're going to pull out all the stops here in the last few minutes. Raptors played just 2 days ago against Frederick. That's always a tough match. Raptors came out on top 2-0. And get somebody a little grabbing there.
Yeah, Ramos a little bit lucky there. He's doing a little bit too much dribbling. Yakin kind of grabbed a hold of him.
Bailed him out.
Yeah, bailed him out a little bit because the Knights had 3 on Ramos there.
Yeah, they were ready to take it away. There's an opportunity. Oh, he couldn't get a good foot on it. Demi. Raptors pressuring offensively. Under 3 minutes to go. Knotted up at 2. Oh, there's a nice ball. Demi. Raptors keep it in their end.
Essex just trying to survive right now. This is kind of what we talked about before.
Yeah,
the Raptors gave up that second goal, you know, just trying to survive, fighting fire.
Beautiful play there by Feldhorst. Feldhorst to, oh, that's going to be a foul. That's going to be a foul.
And honestly, I'm blown away that Ramos doesn't get a card here because of how quickly, like that's one of those counterattack opportunities. A smart foul on Ramos's part. I mean, that is exactly the foul you want to take because you need to slow him down. But
yeah,
I am just very surprised there's no card.
Yeah, the way he's been calling.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
The way he was calling, that seemed to me to almost be like the cherry on top. Like, yep,
that's got to be a card.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
You know, so that was interesting
that
take there.
That would have been Ramos' second
That's
yellow.
what I thought. And that's why I thought he was even crazier for the tackle that he made.
Minute 25 to go. Tied up. Raptors desperately trying to get that third goal.
Good
Here
touch.
they come. Great touch. Here comes Demi. Oh, knocked out of there by.
We've got an offsides flag. Offsides, no corner. Yeah, it was offsides. That run that Dime made, he was offsides, is what they're saying.
So no corner. And the clock continues to run. We're down to 50 seconds.
Yeah, I almost feel like if you're Essex, you're just trying to
Get
that
out of
clock.
here with
Yeah.
the tie.
Yeah, I think so.
Seconds to go in the match. Looks like we're going to have us a tie. Be a third.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And that is our match. All tied up at 2. So no winner, no loser. Both teams played very hard, very well. Excellent match, but nobody came out on top.
Yeah, I don't feel like either team can really be disappointed in the way they played. I mean, this was a very highly contested from the get-go. We've had a handful of cards. We had both teams take the lead at one point, and both teams had to battle back. And so I think for both teams, really just played about as well as you could have asked for in a game that was really featured 2 evenly matched teams.
Very evenly matched teams. Essex goals were by Joaquim Foster and Bartu Yakin. MC goals were by Caio Braga and Miguel Panava. And so with the tie, the Raptors are now 10-1-3 on the season. And Essex is now 9-3-2 on the season. The Raptors are now 8-0-1 in conference, and Essex now 8-0-2. So an excellent match, and it was a pleasure being here. It was a pleasure to see the Sharks Youth Academy out there at halftime, and to talk to their head coach Rafael Hernandez. So for my partner, Caleb Scarbo, I'm Michael Brown. For everyone on the MCTV production team, did a fantastic job as always. We want to thank all of you for joining us for NJCAA College Soccer on MCTV.